Hello, marine biology students. This week we're going to talk about what resources we as humans get from the oceans. So this week we're going to talk about resources harvested from the oceans, and also fisheries and their managements. So what are the things that we get from the oceans? Well, living resources from the oceans are used for food. Also, pharmaceutical products. A variety of other materials and products. And also, recreation. Some people go fishing simply for the joy of fishing. Of the marine organisms that are harvested for food, about 90% of them are known in the fisheries business as fin fish. These include both bony fish and cartilaginous fish, and are contrasted with shellfish. Being primarily mollusks and crustaceans. There are some other marine species that are collected, such as seaweeds, sea cucumbers and sea urchins, and jellyfish. But most of the marine catch comes either in the form of finfish or shellfish. While seafood represents only about 1% of the food consumed each year, it provides about 30% of the total animal protein consumed worldwide. This tells us that seafood is a very important source of protein for many countries of the world. When we look at fisheries as an industry, from the 1950s to present, there's been a 5-fold increase in fishing effort, meaning the number of boats, the number of days fishing, the number of resources trying to catch fish. We've been increasing our effort since the 1950s. And yet, from 1980s to present, the worldwide catches of seafood have been relatively constant. Despite the increased fishing effort, this is a very bad sign. It means that we are overexploiting our fisheries, and it's taking more and more effort to catch the same, or in some cases, fewer fish. And that's because the wild stocks are depleting. Many of the world's most important catches are overexploited. Or exhausted. Especially in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Mediterranean. In this chart, when we look at some of these fisheries and the reported numbers of commercial catches worldwide, we see down on the bottom row that the total catch in marine fishing areas has not changed significantly over these past 30 to 40 years, yet effort has markedly increased. When we look at the countries and their fisheries and their methods of fishing, we can see that that worldwide marine catch has not changed drastically. Some countries are now catching significantly more than they had previously, but as we see with many of these other fisheries, the overall production of those fisheries have been dropping for the last 20 to 30 years. In this chart, we also see several of the commercially important fishes from around the world, including herrings and sardines and anchovies, menhadens and cods, pollock, haddock, hakes, flatfish, tunas, mackerels, and salmon. When we look at where these major fishing areas are, we see that they are mostly over continental shelf. And there are several reasons for this. For one, it is easier to catch demersal or bottom species in the shallow waters of the continental shelf. Many of these species are caught using dragging trawlers. These continental shelf areas also have high primary production, which means there are more species present and more abundance. These include areas such as the Grand Banks of Newfoundland, the North Sea, and also the Bering Sea. So let's talk about some of the major categories of food fish species. The first of these are the clupioid fishes. These include things like sardines, menhaden, shad, and herrings. Now, how are they used? Some of them are eaten directly. However, many are noted for having an especially fishy taste. So another use of these clupioid fishes are in industrial fisheries. And in industrial fisheries, these fish are not used directly for human consumption, but instead are used for a variety of diverse products. This can include things such as fish flour, which is a powder that can be used as a dietary supplement or added to other types of foods to increase its protein content. These clupioid fish are also used as fish meal, which can then be used as feed for poultry, livestock, and even in aquaculture, raising of other marine organisms. Fish oils are also collected from these. They can be used in everything from margarine to cosmetics and paints, and even omega-3 fatty acid supplements. The next group of fish that we'll talk about are demersal fish, and they are often consumed directly. These are the cods, haddocks, hakes, pollock, and whiting. They are demersal. Cold water species, and they've been harvested for centuries. In modern times, they are sold either fresh or frozen, but in the past, they would also be salted to be preserved over long periods before refrigeration. Now, traditionally, these have been a vital source of relatively inexpensive protein. In many parts of the world. They also give us one of the clearest examples of what it means to overharvest a fishery and to result in that fishery crashing. The cod fishery peaked in the 1960s and then began to decline. And instead of saying that the fisheries and fishing amounts should be reduced, more and more effort was put out to collect fewer and fewer fish year after year. A moratorium was declared in 1992 to attempt to save the fishery. This closure of the fishery caused high unemployment. Among American and Canadian fishermen. This fishery may never fully recover, as cod is still listed as an endangered species. In the Grand Banks. Part of the issue is that the remaining stocks are insufficient to rapidly bring the populations back to their original sizes, and many other species are now feeding on the young cod, which used to be just a very small part of the population, but now make up significantly larger percentages of it. Other species collected for food include jacks, mullets, rockfish, and mackerel. These end up being important species when it comes to worldwide tonnage of finfish caught. Canned mackerel is a source of inexpensive protein in some parts of the world. I remember growing up in Hawaii, we would use canned mackerel along with wheat flour to make a type of bait that we would use to catch local fish. But many people that I knew would also eat the canned mackerel directly. It's something I never got the taste for myself. Another very important commercial species are the tunas. Now, this is a species that is caught in open water, and they can command very high prices. They are caught in long lines or in gill nets, although some modern changes in how they are caught are further decimating their populations. Fishing boats are equipped with freezers so that they can stay out at sea longer, catching more and more of the population. When we look at some of the other species that are collected for food, mollusks are the second most valuable catch after finfish. These can include cephalopods, such as squids, cuttlefish, and octopuses, which are particularly important in the Far East and happen to be my favorite form of seafood as well. And then also clams, oysters, mussels, scallops, and abalone in the worldwide market. Crustaceans are another important food source. They are prized worldwide and can command high prices. These include shrimps, lobsters, and crabs. Seaweeds, jellyfish, and sea urchins are also harvested, especially in Japan. Gooseneck barnacles are harvested in Spain. And polychaete worms are harvested in the South Pacific. Sea turtles and their eggs are also harvested and eaten, even where they are protected by law. Seals and whales are also still eaten in some cultures, despite laws to protect them. And this takes us to the end of our initial discussion of resources from the ocean. Before our next video, I would like you to think about what would inspire you to stop fishing before you've caught as much as you could. Well, we'll talk about that in the next video. See you then.